In a quiet corner of the universe, a small space station floated silently among the stars. This station, known as Haven 12, was home to many different beings, but it was especially known for a brave human named Jack. Jack was a mechanic and he loved fixing things. He had a special bond with his pet, a loyal alien dog named Zor. Zor was not like any ordinary dog. With his shiny fur and bright, curious eyes, he was strong and clever. Together, they shared a life filled with adventure, laughter, and friendship. Every day, Jack worked hard in his little workshop. He repaired ships, engines, and anything else that needed fixing. Zor often helped by handing Jack tools or running errands around the station. Their days were filled with the hum of machines and the warmth of companionship. However, this peaceful life was about to change. One sunny morning, while Jack was tightening bolts on a small ship, a loud alarm echoed through Haven 12. The station's alert system flashed red, and the screen showed a frightening message: Galactic Empire invasion imminent, 500,000 dreadnoughts approaching. Jack dropped his tools in shock. He and Zor exchanged worried glances. "Zor, we need to see what's happening," Jack said, rushing toward the main control room. Zor barked in agreement, his ears perked up and ready for action. As they reached the control room, they found a crowd of frightened inhabitants gathered around the screen. The news was dire. The Galactic Empire, known for its cruelty and powerful warships, was coming to take over their station. Jack listened as the station's leader, a wise and old alien named Eldrin, tried to calm everyone. "We must remain strong. The Empire cannot take our home. We have fought off threats before!" But Jack could see the fear in Eldrin's eyes. He knew the Empire was not an enemy to be taken lightly. As the news continued, Jack felt a spark of determination ignite within him. He looked at Zor, who was standing beside him, ready to protect his friend. Jack thought about all the families living in Haven 12, all the lives that would be affected if the Empire succeeded. He couldn't just stand by and let them be taken. Jack had to do something. Suddenly, a plan began to form in Jack's mind. While fixing Zor's spaceship, he had discovered a hidden storage room filled with old, powerful weapons left behind by humans long ago. These weapons could give them a chance against the Empire's overwhelming numbers. Jack knew he needed to gather allies to help him. "Zor, we're going to find some brave friends. We can't face this alone," he said, determination in his voice. Zor barked as if to say, "Let's do it." Jack moved quickly, gathering a small group of friends: Lara, a sharp-witted hacker; Thomas, a skilled pilot known for his bravery; and Finn, a strategist who understood the Empire's tactics. Each of them was scared, but knew they had to fight for their home. They gathered in Jack's workshop, and he explained his plan. "We can use the hidden weapons and our skills to fight back. The Empire may have 500,000 dreadnoughts, but we have something they don't: a reason to fight." The team felt the fire of hope ignite within them. They would not let fear control them. As they prepared for the fight ahead, Jack felt a wave of determination wash over him. He knew they were up against a powerful enemy, but he also believed in the strength of friendship and teamwork. Zor nuzzled against him, and Jack smiled, feeling reassured by his loyal companion. In the days that followed, the group trained hard. They practiced using the weapons, developing strategies, and planning their attack. Zor became a vital part of their team, helping them scout and gather information. They were ready to stand against the Empire, united in their fight for freedom. As the dreadnoughts drew closer, Jack stood on the observation deck, looking out at the stars. He knew that a storm was coming, but he also felt a sense of hope. They were ready to fight for their home. Together, they would face the Empire head-on, proving that even in the darkest times, courage and friendship could light the way. And so, the calm before the storm slowly faded, replaced by the growing tension of an approaching battle. Jack and his team were ready, and they would not back down. The fight for Haven 12 was just beginning. As the dreadnoughts of the Galactic Empire drew closer, the atmosphere on Haven 12 grew tense. The once bustling space station now felt heavy with fear. Jack and his team knew they had little time to prepare for the fight ahead. With the enemy's arrival imminent, they set to work, determined to gather every ally they could find. Jack called a meeting in his workshop, the heart of their preparations. It was a small, cluttered space filled with tools, spare parts, and the hidden weapons he had discovered. The room buzzed with nervous energy as Jack's friends arrived. Each of them wore expressions of worry, but also a glimmer of determination. They all knew what was at stake. "Thank you for coming," Jack began, his voice steady. "We don't have much time. The Empire is powerful, but together we can stand a chance. We need to find more people to join our fight." He looked around at their anxious faces. "Lara, can you use your skills to help us find more allies?" Lara nodded, her fingers already tapping away on a small tablet. "I can reach out to the local networks and see if anyone else wants to fight. We need all the help we can get." She focused on her screen, her expressions serious as she connected with various groups across the station. Meanwhile, Thomas, the skilled pilot, stood up. "I can scout the area and find any ships that might be hiding. We'll need every ship we can get if we want to take on those dreadnoughts." Jack appreciated Tomas's bravery. He knew that scouting would be dangerous. Finn, the strategist, chimed in. "I can analyze the Empire's tactics. If we know their movements, we can create a better plan. But we need more fighters. I can talk to the residents here and see if they're willing to join us." His eyes sparkled with determination as he spoke. As the team dispersed to carry out their tasks, Jack felt a surge of hope. They were becoming a real team, united by their common goal. But Jack knew they needed more than just hope. They needed strength and skill. While Lara worked on her tablet, Jack took Zor outside for a quick walk. The station was quiet and the stars shone brightly above. Jack felt the weight of the universe pressing down on him. "What do you think, Zor? Are we crazy to take on the Empire?" he asked, glancing down at his loyal pet. Zor wagged his tail and barked as if to say, "We can do this!" Jack chuckled, grateful for Zor's unwavering support. They returned to the workshop where Lara had some good news. "I've found a group of former soldiers who are willing to join us," she said, her voice full of excitement. "They're hiding in the old cargo bays. They've fought before and know how to handle weapons." Jack's heart raced with the prospect of adding experienced fighters to their team. "Let's go meet them," Jack said, feeling a rush of adrenaline. The group made their way to the cargo bays, navigating through dark corridors filled with shadows. They arrived at a large area where several tough-looking individuals stood, arms crossed and expressions wary. "Who are you, and what do you want?" one of them growled, eyeing Jack and his friends. Jack stepped forward, taking a deep breath. "I'm Jack, and this is my team. We're fighting against the Galactic Empire, and we need your help. We've learned about their weakness, and together we can defend Haven 12. The soldiers exchanged glances, considering Jack's words. Finally, an older soldier with a scar across his cheek spoke. "We've been waiting for a chance to fight back. We'll join you, but we need to know you're serious. The Empire won't go easy on us." Jack nodded, feeling the weight of the moment. "We are serious. We've trained, and we've found weapons to fight with. We can do this together." The soldiers looked at each other again, and slowly they began to nod. "All right, we're in," the scarred soldier said. "But we'll need a plan. Let's hear what you've got." With the new allies on board, Jack felt a renewed sense of purpose. He quickly shared his ideas, and everyone began to contribute. They discussed strategies, weapons, and how to coordinate their attacks. The once divided group now worked together, fueled by a common goal. As they finalized their plans, Zor barked happily, running in circles around the team. The laughter and excitement filled the workshop, pushing away the fear that had lingered in the air. Jack realized they were becoming a true family, bonded by the fight against the Empire. With their numbers growing and their plans set, the team stood ready to face the Empire. Jack felt confident that they could overcome the impossible odds. United as one, they would fight for their home, their families, and their freedom. The fight for Haven 12 was no longer just Jack's. It was theirs. The day of reckoning arrived, and the atmosphere around Haven 12 was electric with tension. Jack and his team had prepared as much as they could, but nothing could truly prepare them for the sight that awaited them. As the sun began to set, casting a fiery glow over the station, the enormous shadows of the Galactic Empire's dreadnoughts appeared on the horizon. There were hundreds of them, massive and intimidating, moving closer and closer. Jack stood on the observation deck, his heart pounding in his chest. Zor sat beside him, sensing his owner's anxiety. "This is it, Zor," Jack whispered, his voice barely above a murmur. "We've trained hard for this moment. We can't turn back now." The team had gathered in the main control room, eyes glued to the screens displaying the dreadnought's approach. Eldrin, the leader of the station, stood at the front, his face a mix of worry and determination. We need to stay focused, he reminded everyone. Our allies are counting on us. We must show the Empire that Haven 12 will not fall easily. Thomas, the skilled pilot, was busy preparing their small fleet of ships. I'll take the lead and draw their fire. The rest of you should wait for my signal to attack, he instructed, confidence shining through despite the fear in his eyes. As the dreadnoughts drew nearer, Jack could see the Empire's ships bristling with weapons, ready to unleash destruction. It was an intimidating sight, but Jack felt a fierce determination rising within him. He turned to his team. Remember, we're not just fighting for ourselves. We're fighting for everyone in Haven 12. Let's make our stand! Lara, with her quick fingers, hacked into the enemy's communication system. I can create confusion among their ranks. Just give me a moment. She worked furiously, her face lit by the glow of her screen. The dreadnoughts began firing warning shots, shaking the station and causing alarms to blare. Jack and his team jumped into action, climbing into their ships. Zor hopped into the seat next to Jack, ready for whatever was to come. All right, everyone, it's time, Jack shouted over the comms. Follow Thomas and stick to the plan. As they launched into space, the reality of battle set in. The vastness of space surrounded them, but all Jack could focus on was the sight of the Empire's dreadnoughts. They were like giants, looming ominously as Jack's small fleet approached. Thomas led the charge, darting between the dreadnoughts, drawing their fire. I'm taking fire! He shouted, expertly dodging blasts. Keep close and don't let them hit you. The rest of the team followed closely, hearts racing with adrenaline. Lara's voice rang through the comms. I've created a diversion in their systems. They're confused. Now's our chance. Jack seized the moment and ordered his team to attack. Now! Hit them hard! Jack shouted. He fired his weapons, feeling a surge of power as beams of energy shot from his ship. Zor barked excitedly beside him as if encouraging Jack to fight harder. Explosions erupted as their small fleet targeted the dreadnoughts, trying to find weak points in their defenses. Jack could see other ships engaging the Empire's forces, and he knew they had to keep pushing. Stay together! We can't let them break our formation, he commanded. One of the dreadnoughts began to retaliate, returning fire on Jack's ship. He felt a jolt as a blast hit them, shaking the vessel. Hold on, Zor, he yelled as he fought to regain control. The ship rattled, but Jack's training kicked in. He quickly assessed the damage and adjusted their course, dodging another incoming blast. Jack, watch out! Lara warned over the comms. A second dreadnought had locked onto them, preparing to fire. Jack acted quickly, veering sharply to the right and narrowly avoiding the blast. Keep moving! We can't let them corner us! Jack yelled, determination burning in his eyes. The team worked together seamlessly, dodging attacks, firing back, and providing support for one another. Suddenly, Thomas's voice broke through the chaos. I've got a clear shot at one of the dreadnoughts. Cover me! With that, he aimed and fired, hitting the ship's weak point. The dreadnought exploded in a spectacular burst of flames, lighting up the dark void of space. Jack felt a rush of excitement. They were making an impact! But the battle was far from over. As the explosions lit up the night sky, Jack and his team continued to fight fiercely. They were outnumbered, but they had heart. As the conflict raged on, Jack realized they were not just fighting for their lives, they were fighting for their home, their freedom, and for each other. Despite the overwhelming odds, they stood strong. This was just the beginning of their battle against the Empire, and Jack knew they would keep fighting as long as they had each other. The spirit of Haven 12 would not be extinguished. The battle raged on, and Haven 12 felt like it was teetering on the edge of chaos. Jack and his team had made some progress, but the Galactic Empire was relentless. Their dreadnoughts were still coming, firing weapons that shook the very foundation of the station. Jack knew they had to change their approach if they were going to survive. Gather around! Jack shouted over the comms, trying to cut through the noise of the battle. He watched as his team regrouped, panting and weary but still filled with determination. We can't keep this up forever. They have too many ships and we're running low on energy. We need a plan, a desperate gamble. Lara looked worried. What do you have in mind? We can't just charge in without a strategy. They'll wipe us out. I agree, said Thomas, wiping sweat from his brow. But what choice do we have? We can't sit here waiting to be destroyed. Jack took a deep breath, thinking hard. What if we lure one of the dreadnoughts away from the group? If we can draw one of them into the asteroid field nearby, we might have a chance to hit it hard. Finn, the strategist, perked up at the idea. That could work. The asteroids can block their shots, giving us a better chance to attack. We could set a trap. Jack nodded, encouraged by his friend's responses. Exactly. We can make it look like we're fleeing, but when they chase us, we'll turn the tables. But it has to be quick. We need to act before they realize what we're doing. With their plan in place, Jack and his team set to work. They spread out to prepare their ships for the new tactic. Jack felt the weight of responsibility heavy on his shoulders. He knew that every decision they made could mean life or death for them all. As they moved, Zor paced nervously in his seat. "Don't worry, buddy," Jack said, patting him. "We've got this." Zor looked up with wide, trusting eyes, and Jack felt a surge of confidence. They took their positions, ready to implement the plan. Jack took a deep breath and opened the comms. "All right, team, it's showtime. We're going to make it look like we're retreating. Remember, when I give the signal, we turn back and hit them hard." As they began to pull back from the dreadnoughts, Jack could see the enemy ships shifting, focusing on them. The dreadnoughts began to follow, their massive forms looming ever closer. Jack's heart raced with adrenaline. This was their moment. "Now!" Jack shouted as he veered sharply toward the asteroid field, leading the way. The rest of the team followed, but not without hesitation. He could feel the tension in the air as the dreadnoughts pursued them, slowly falling into the trap. The asteroid field was a chaotic maze, filled with massive rocks floating in space. Jack maneuvered his ship expertly, dodging obstacles as he led the Empire's ship deeper into the field. The dreadnoughts, larger and less agile, struggled to keep up. Jack could hear the crew of one of the ships grow more frustrated on the enemy comms, their voices filled with anger and confusion. "Now!" Jack yelled, executing a sharp turn to gain a better angle. The rest of his team followed suit, taking up strategic positions around the nearest dreadnought. The dreadnought, now isolated from the others, was vulnerable. Jack's heart raced as he fired his weapons, aiming for the ship's weak spots. Beams of energy shot from his ship, hitting the dreadnought with powerful blasts. Thomas was quick to follow, firing at the ship from a different angle. "We're getting through! Keep it up!" he shouted, excitement in his voice. The rest of the team joined in, launching everything they had at the isolated dreadnought. But the Empire's ship wasn't going down without a fight. It retaliated, firing back with massive blasts. Jack could see the damage being done to his friend's ships. "Stay focused!" he shouted, pushing his ship to the limits as he dodged incoming fire. Suddenly, a warning flashed on Jack's screen. "Energy levels critical." It was Lara's voice, tinged with panic. "We need to back off." Jack knew they were running out of time. "Just a bit more! We can do this!" he urged, determination fueling his every move. They pressed on, relentless in their assault. Then the unthinkable happened. An asteroid collided with the dreadnought, causing a massive explosion. Jack watched in disbelief as the ship began to crumble. The crew's panic was audible over the comms, their fear mixing with disbelief. "Keep attacking!" Jack shouted, filled with renewed energy. They had to finish this. As beams of energy shot from their ships, the dreadnought finally faltered. With a final blast, it erupted in a blaze of light, leaving debris scattered in its wake. The team cheered, their spirits lifting. But their victory was short-lived. "Look out! The others are coming!" Finn warned, his voice tense. Jack quickly regrouped with his team, knowing they had to flee before the rest of the dreadnoughts closed in. "Let's go! We need to regroup at Haven 12, he commanded. As they made their escape, Jack's heart swelled with pride. They had struck a blow against the Empire, proving they could fight back. But as they raced toward their home, he knew this was only the beginning of a much larger battle. The fight for Haven 12 had just started, and they had to be ready for whatever came next. The remnants of the fierce battle hung in the cold air of space around Haven 12. Jack and his team had just pulled off a daring move against one of the Galactic Empire's dreadnoughts. But they knew the war was far from over. As they raced back toward the station, the exhilaration of their small victory was mixed with a deep concern. The Empire would not take this loss lightly. "Keep your eyes peeled," Jack instructed as they neared the station. His heart raced, knowing that the Empire would retaliate. "They'll be back with a vengeance." Lara, focused on her control panel, glanced up. "We need to get everyone prepared. They'll come for us while we're still weak." She was right. The Empire would likely see Haven 12 as an easy target, especially after the losses they had suffered. Jack and the team quickly regrouped at the control center. They debriefed, discussing their next steps, while adrenaline still coursed through their veins. We need to strengthen our defenses, Eldrin said, his voice firm. If they come again, we can't let them breach our walls. Let's reach out to our allies, Thomas suggested. If we can gather more support, we might stand a chance against the next wave. Good idea, Jack replied, feeling a spark of hope. Every ship counts. Let's send out the call. He watched as Lara sent out messages, reaching out to nearby systems for help. As the hours passed, the atmosphere in Haven 12 was a mix of anxiety and determination. They worked tirelessly, preparing their defenses and trying to rally support. Jack could feel the tension growing, but he also felt a sense of camaraderie with his team. They were united in their cause, willing to fight for their home. Finally, just as the sun began to rise over the station, an alert blared through the comms. "Incoming ships!" Finn shouted, pointing to the screen where blips appeared, growing closer. "Get ready!" Jack commanded, adrenaline surging once more. "This is it!" The team took their positions, their hearts pounding in anticipation. As the ships drew closer, Jack could see the familiar shapes of the Empire's dreadnoughts, accompanied by smaller fighters. They were here and they were angry. "Stay calm, everyone," Jack said, trying to steady his team. "We've faced them before. We can do it again." The first blast of energy hit the station, shaking everything around them. Jack gripped the controls tightly, focusing on the screens before him. "Return fire!" he shouted. The team responded, unleashing everything they had in a barrage of energy blasts. The battle began, and it was chaos. Jack maneuvered his ship, dodging blasts while targeting the enemy ships. Zor was beside him, barking with excitement and courage. "Let's show them what we've got!" Jack yelled, feeling a surge of determination. The dreadnoughts advanced, firing relentlessly. Jack and his team fought back fiercely, their resolve hardening with every blast. They worked together like a well-oiled machine, dodging, firing, and calling out commands. "Lara, can you disrupt their systems?" Jack asked, glancing over at her. "I'm on it," she replied, fingers flying across her controls. A moment later, she grinned. "I've created a confusion signal. They're scrambling to adjust." "Good work," Jack shouted. He took advantage of the chaos, targeting one of the smaller dreadnoughts. "Now, everyone, focus on that one!" The team unleashed their firepower, and the smaller dreadnought began to falter under their combined attacks. Jack felt a rush of excitement as it erupted into flames, debris scattering across space. "Keep pushing! We can do this!" he urged, heart racing. But then an alarm sounded again. "Jack, they're targeting us!" Thomas warned. Jack spun around just in time to see a massive blast heading straight for him. He swerved, barely dodging it, but the impact rattled the ship. "Regroup!" Jack shouted. They needed to stick together. The fight was intense, but he could see the tide beginning to turn. The Empire was losing ships and his team was holding strong. As the battle continued, Jack spotted an opportunity. A gap had opened up among the enemy ranks. "This is our chance. We can break through!" With newfound energy, Jack led the charge. "Follow me!" he shouted, urging everyone to stick close. They pushed through the gap, weaving in and out of enemy fire, and launched their assault on the heart of the enemy formation. Their strikes landed with precision, and soon more dreadnoughts began to explode. The Empire's forces were faltering. The cries of panic from the enemy ships echoed in the comms, and Jack felt a surge of hope. "Keep it going!" Jack yelled, feeling the rush of victory course through him. They were doing it. They were pushing back the Empire. One by one, the enemy ships began to retreat, the remaining dreadnoughts pulling back as they realized they were outmatched. "Victory! We did it!" Thomas shouted, his voice filled with joy. The team erupted in cheers, high-fiving and celebrating their hard-fought win. As Jack looked around at his friends, he felt a deep sense of pride. They had faced overwhelming odds, yet they had triumphed. Together, they had defended Haven 12. But Jack knew this battle was just one of many. The Empire would not forget this defeat, and they would return. But for now, they had won a critical victory. As he looked out at the stars, he felt a sense of hope for the future. They were ready for whatever came next. United, they would continue to fight no matter the odds.